right? Maybe
Sorry, Jessica.
that's okay. Maybe there's things that they just, keep, processing in their mind that they want to get off their chest. We can also help explore meaning of life. Maybe they want to share wisdom and just find closure. And throughout this process, what we have is a guided journal with prompts that would enable you to ask some of these important questions and help them reflect on their journey and document the wisdom for their loved ones and express their final wishes that maybe they just don't have an opportunity to do that with their loved ones themselves. And that's kind of our role. And it really just provides a sense of validation and purpose and really peace in their final days. So one of the things that I've heard, and I love this, is that the answers are always in the questions, right? And we have to meet our patients where they are. And asking those questions, we really help the patients come to find those answers on their own. And I think that's really one of the beautiful things about this journey and this process. So, I'd like to introduce you to the Eternal Crossings Travel Journal. This is a journal that was really inspired by my mother-in-law's final journey. I had the chance to sit with her and share memories, and she really expressed wisdom that she wanted to pass on to her family and really communicate her final wishes. So that way the family had an opportunity to really honor her voice. And that was such an honor and a privilege. And then from that, it really made me realize the importance of having a guided space for these conversations. The other thing that I encountered is having volunteered with TRU and going through all the amazing training and education, and I could talk about death and dying for hours to anybody. And then when I found that my own family member was going through the process, I just froze. And I didn't understand what that block was. And it's like I couldn't even say the D word. I was allergic to it. And then I remembered, reading Final Gifts with the two authors, is that a lot of times individuals in the final chapter really speak in travel metaphors. And so that's when I realized, oh, I just need to talk in travel metaphors back to her. And it was like it just opened up this well of communication and expressing wishes. And we never even had to say the D word. But then once we started that process, my mother-in-law, Veronica, just wanted to know more. What was it like? What is it going to feel like? What other things, do you experience? And I was able to share that. But again, it was definitely a block. And I think that was one of the ways I was able to overcome that obstacle. So I did go through end of life doula training, and there was a wealth of information. And so I really took that, and having worked at IBM for so long, just creating a process and a repeatable method, I put together this guided journal. And it's really perfect for those living with advanced illness, hospices, volunteers, caregivers, but each of us at any time. We don't have to wait until, we're on service to actually do this deep introspection. And so this journal you will find will kind of break down into three key sections or phases or steps. You first start with really capturing those cherished memories, and I'm going to go through some of those questions. Whether it's the very beginning from introduction to childhood, then you kind of naturally go into this individual's accomplishments and what do they feel grateful about? What is the impact that they've had in their life, and how have they made an impact on others? What wisdom from their own experiences do they want to articulate and document? And then also, there's a space for loved ones to actually reflect for that individual, reflections from loved ones. And then finally, the last phase is about vigil planning and expressing final wishes. And this is an optional section. Now, I'll tell you that in assignments, it kind of just naturally flows from one step to the next. And just to reinforce and reemphasize, we just have to meet the patients where they are at. So if they're not ready for this space, let them know. That's fine. feel free to review it, come back to it when you're ready. That's what we're here for. Maybe they want to pick it up. I've had a patient actually reach back out after I thought our visits were over, and they wanted to have this extra step. So you just never know, but just leaving it there and leaving it open it is, just another offering that we can provide. So I'm going to jump ahead to the next slide, and it's not going. Okay, here it is. So this is the first set of pages around cherished memories. And as you see here, it's really about reflecting on the meaning of life. And if you can help walk the individual and the patient to discover the arc of events and their experiences and those choices that really shaped who they are, they can really kind of understand and reflect and explore meaning of life. And it really gives them a complete and meaningful narrative. And that often leads to, again, another deep sense of fulfillment. So the first set of questions is really helping you start the dialogue with the patient. Tell me about yourself. Who were you named after? Do you have a nickname? What are some of the favorite things you like to do, and why do you love them? The other page talks about culture and family traditions that they hope to pass down. What are you proud to, and what are you proud of? What are you proud to be? What are some of those traditions that, that you hope are passed down after you're gone? And then the next set of pages is really about childhood and adulthood. So you first start with, childhood and what were some of your favorite memories? Who were your childhood best friends? What did you dream about becoming when you were growing up? Maybe when you were a teenager? What were some of your most favorite memories with your family or loved ones? What was your favorite game? And you'll just notice that the patient's eyes will just light up. All of a sudden, there's a treasure trove of information that just starts to come forward, and it just creates this wonderful dialogue between yourself and the patient. And then there's a journey map. And this is kind of where someone can explore, from the time that they're born and all those defining moments and milestones to where they are now. And they can kind of see that trajectory of how they got to the different places. And I'll just share a couple experiences with my own mother-in-law. Of Her life was very difficult, and she didn't understand. And when we first started this conversation, the first words out of her mouth was, "I don't know why life has been so hard." And when you went through those defining moments and milestones, understanding why she went through some of those tough times, it led her to this beautiful family and, loving family and so many things that she made an impact on. And I think she realized that she probably would have not been able to do that had she not gone through those challenges and difficulties in life. So again, it's just another opportunity to help them reflect on the meaning of life. The next section is about preserving wisdom and legacy, and then reflections from loved ones. And this was Wendy's inspiration. But, life is just really filled with valuable lessons and insights and beliefs that shape who we are. And whether through advice or guiding principles or words of encouragement, the individual and the patient can really share those stories of resilience and love and growth to make sure that their voice lives on, and they can share that to future generations, right? Because this also becomes really a treasured keepsake for the family to provide connection after the individual is gone. Um, so on that, the first pages around accomplishments and gratitude really are about what are your proudest accomplishments, right? If we can reframe, the kind of the point where they're asking questions and instead of a negative, it kind of you reframe it into a more positive question, and then you can understand and identify what were some causes or charities that they most appreciate, that meant that were important to them. And also, what are you grateful for? What small joy do you appreciate every day? Was there an individual that impacted you the most? What was a kindness that you never forgot? What are the three things that matter most in life? And that's kind of around this place where they can really start thinking about, gratitude. And we all know how gratitude will kind of change your energy. Wisdom and values, these are values you hope loved ones will carry forward. What wisdom do you hope to pass on? And there's also, again, the reflections from loved ones. This is that space for family and friends to express gratitude, share some memories, and really celebrate a lasting impact. Sometimes we have family members in the care center. Sometimes we have family members in the room, with the patient. But they can also, take it on their own time and do some reflection. There's also some pages that really kind of inspire some legacy crafting. These are some ideas that maybe the patient is thinking about that you could assist them with, as I mentioned, like a slideshow. There is a memory box. There is, scrapbooks or photo albums or recipe collection, maybe a playlist, a music playlist that they'd like to put together. And there's also some space for, writing letters to loved ones. It could be short, it could be something that just really provokes them to actually sit down and write a letter. I had a patient that had a former student that was incarcerated, and this was something that she wanted to do. It was on her mind, and so she was able to, okay, let me sit down and just do this, and that way I don't have to think about it. And it was something that was so deeply meaningful for her to do. Maybe there's a special memory, that someone wants to write down, or maybe there's questions that, again, this is also, this journal was meant to have family members use it, right? Or grandchildren. So it just kind of brings that connection across the family, across the patient's family. Um, Let me just stop and see if there's any questions so far. I know I'm kind of going through this pretty quickly. Okay, and then here's the final section. This is for vigil planning and the final wishes, and these are really about preferences, around the final gathering, hopes, farewells, any personal requests. The first one is vigil planning, and I called it the packing list planning. Like, what are those things that you want to take with you on this journey? This is really based on the five senses or the four senses, because we know swallowing is, we need to be careful about. But it's about, what you want to see. What are some special objects that you want to have placed near you? Who do you want to see? What visitors? What maybe have some special pets that you want to make sure are part of this process? What do you want to smell? Maybe aromatherapy, essential oils, flowers. I had a patient who was adamant, do not have any flowers in the room. She had such severe allergies and sensitivity to smells that she only will accept fake flowers. But they're beautiful. And then finally, hearing, maybe there's music, prayers, readings, sounds, and then touch. Sometimes people do not want to be touched. It's an agitation. Maybe they do want to be massaged or, have lotion, or um, also final body care, right? The final breaths. Uh, Sometimes, as a final act of love, the patient wants to have a bath, right? Provided by the family members. So and that packing list there are real examples that I've had patients share for their own vigil plan. And then on the right side, this is around final wishes. Now, this is not meant to be, advanced care planning and putting together, a will or of that nature, but these are just things to help enable the patient to start thinking about what are some things that, that you want to make sure you do, that you have time and you're feeling well enough that you would like to do. One patient mentioned that They want to make sure they go to the Detroit Zoo with their with their kids and grandkids and see the ocean. One patient wanted to make sure all the family arrived, so they had the capacities to say goodbye when they were able to communicate. And then finally, final breaths and beyond. My one patient mentioned she wanted to make sure she played the slideshow, but she wanted Leonard Skinner's Freebird. She wanted a party. She did not want a funeral. And she also shared that she wanted her ashes spread in a really specific place. And she gave me the name of someone that was not her partner or her spouse, but she knew this person knew exactly where that location was. And she wanted to make sure that she could have that conversation with her current partner to talk about those things. So that's kind of the intent for this section. Um, Again, it's something that is, you know, to really open up and really give that opportunity for the patient to process kind of this timing, this space, and really leave something behind for the family to connect with after they're gone. And so those are kind of the key focus of the pages themselves. And this is a slide that really talks about just different things. Again, this is more focused on volunteers at the care center, but it also covers just introducing yourself, explaining what the journal and the benefits are. Some patients may not want to do the journal. They may want to only, do a recording with their own equipment, and that's okay too. But you can also share. This is another option that we offer our patients in engaging other family members and just really remembering that it's about asking those open-ended questions and really using your active listening skills and respecting personal choices. Um, the other cool thing that happened, and I will just bring this up because you may find that you have a similar situation. On the prior page around kind of, next steps and beyond, a patient had mentioned that there was one person, one individual in her life that she really did not want to have attend her celebration of life. And I just left it. I didn't write it in the journal, and I said, I'm just going to come back to this. And in the following week, I came back and I said, you mentioned that you had an individual that was a family member that you wanted to make sure wasn't attending. And she said, I thought about that and I wanted to offer some forgiveness. And I have allowed this individual to come back into my life if they wanted to say something and wanted to talk about, the past or the experiences we had together. And so again, that's another way that this journal can kind of offer up and allow for some of that forgiveness, whether it's receiving forgiveness or offering forgiveness to others. So that was just one way I handled that. And that's pretty much it. So I know that if you pick up a personal reflections assignment, Casey does have the journals on hand. There are some copies of a soft copy of the presentation that she can share. There are some instructions for the care center. And as I mentioned, you would just kind of go through when you update the documentation, just update the status of what you worked on with the patient during that time. And then that way, if anything else comes up that maybe needs to be shared with the team, right? The interdisciplinary team, you can share that as well. So that about wraps it up. Wendy, was there anything that I haven't covered that I forgot?
No, I'm so glad you're doing this. We just got an 11th hour. So I am
Okay,
elsewhere.
got it.
Um, we have everything here. We'll walk you through it. It's kind of fun. And there's stickers.
Yes, yes, yes,
We
yes.
made stickers. So it's kind of just a fun thing. And sometimes this is what you need to get inspired for other things. So just consider that.
Yeah, this is just one of my favorite care plans itself, and it's just such meaningful work. It's so much more beyond than asking a set of questions about childhood or adulthood. This is just really it's so transformative for the patient and for yourself. It's going to open your heart up in ways that you've never imagined. So, I appreciate you being here.
Can I just give a really quick ringing endorsement? Because as someone who is really new to companionship and not really sure what type of conversations to have and not sure if I'm actually making a difference in anyone's lives and is this a useful type of volunteering for me to do, it was so helpful to have some questions and some prompts that I could um, base a conversation off or start a conversation off, and then also seeing people really open up. Like a lot of them, it was suggested by one of their loved ones that the loved one wanted them to fill this out, and they're kind of like, I don't know what this journal is. But as I asked questions, just like you said, Jessica, it just led to a richer conversation and a lot of reflection and proud moments. And I feel more purposeful because it feels like a more tangible kind of, I don't know, it just feels like a more fruitful
Activity.
conversation.
So
Yeah.
in a perfect world, imagine we have over 300 patient family patients on hospice and palliative combined. We have goals that we want to make sure that we have enough volunteers to support, those patients, but typically we don't have all those requests. Imagine a world where we could provide this kind of care plan for every patient coming in. If you were a patient, you were a hospice patient, and you're being told, here's this opportunity, no matter what, you have at least one volunteer that will do that. So that is a goal for a perfect world. I can't do that right now because we don't have enough volunteers to answer that for everybody. We're not prepared to do that, but there's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, plant the seed. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jenny, for sharing. It's great to
Yeah.
hear your experiences, definitely. And for feedback too, if there is something that you go out with a patient and you're like, this isn't working well, I'd love to know about it. So, my number, my email, please share. We want to make this the best experience for each of you.
I had a question. I'm wondering if you've had success offering this to any patients that are having memory challenges or cognitive challenges. Is there would you talk about that?
Yeah, not yet. I
We
haven't really
might at the care center.
care center, we probably would have that opportunity, but I haven't had any direct experience yet. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that might be an opportunity to have a patient's family member, caregiver with them during that conversation.
Yeah.
In which case, then it's more for the family anyway, and we all know that, but
Yeah, in fact, I did have a opportunity the patient was sleeping at the care center, and I used the same prompts and sat with the son, and he had the most rich experiences. I mean, I learned that about the tunnels under CU that he played in, when he was a child, and he talked about his great grandmother having 27 children and three sets of twins, and he, went on a road trip on his motorcycle. I mean, all these things that were related because I would say, what was your favorite mom's favorite meal? Like, what do you love? And he just shared the whole time. I mean, we sat almost for 2 hours. So the patient, as Wendy mentioned, may not be at full capacity, but if there are family members that can also share and provide memories and input into the journal, it's another great opportunity too.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's really cool. I'm excited to have this as part of a TRU offering.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. All right. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate you joining today and best wishes. And thanks, Wendy, for
yeah, yeah.
time.
Thanks,
And
Jessica. Bye, everyone.
you what?
I just said thanks, Jessica. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye. Jean, are you good?
Yes,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
I can't write. I mean, I'm really slow at writing. So I would have to have the patient or the family members fill out,
Oh,
but I could offer it.
we can always try.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
hang in there
Thank you.
with your remodel.
Oh, it just takes energy that I don't want to spend on that. And at the same time, my youngest just moved out. And so that was kind of stressful but
Right.
it's all good. And then I'm looking at an 11th hour, which I just laugh at. Like it always happens when it's a lot
Yeah.
going on.
That's
Um,
right.
but I'm actually hoping to go part-time. I'm turning 65 in July.
All right.
And but with the whole political environment, it seems like a bad decision. So I'm
Yeah.
wavering, like we could do it financially. It just seems like I don't know. So anyway, that's all stuff in my head. And I
Yeah.
love my job. So why am I going part-time? I'm tired.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm hoping if the house gets all better and the kids are all good and health stays good, we'll see. But that's what's going
Yeah.
on. Just a lot of changes. How's your health?
Well, I had the hip replacement on Christmas Eve day, and um, I've logged miles in my house and in the neighborhood, but then I've gone on 4 hikes outside in the mountains. So,
Really? How
yeah.
far?
3 miles is the furthest I've gone.
Good for you. I
Yeah.
don't have a new hip and I'm pretty active. And just lately I've been trying to do 3 miles at night because it's so pretty out.
Mhm.
And I'm exhausted after. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, I've changed. Something in the
Yeah.
last year has changed. And it's just like,
Well, turns out that it was a much bigger deal than I thought it would be.
oh, I'm sorry.
And I've been on first name basis with my doctor, Dr. George,
Dr.
and
Jones.
he's said that the inflammatory process keeps going on for at least a year.
Really?
So though you have good days and bad days.
Well, I hear it's still better than a knee.
Yeah.
My husband did the
And
knee.
then, yeah. And then the shoulder is the worst. So
Oh, really?
I've
You did
had,
one of those?
um, well, I've had pain in my shoulders. It's been chronic, but it's
I
been
wonder
acute.
why, Jean.
Well, yeah.
Rrr, rrr.
So
Aw,
I've been thinking about, well, I took 6 months off from climbing, and
that's a hard one.
my left shoulder got a lot better. And I went to a PT, and he showed me some exercises I could do with my left shoulder. And um, so I went climbing for the first time on March 27th.
Oh, wow.
But it was with him and then my partner. And so then it was
Awesome.
slab. And so I did 4 routes and I didn't hurt, and it was really great.
A great day.
And when the regular gym, the routes are all vertical or overhanging. There's no, well, there is a slab, but it's the routes that are set on it currently are too hard. So I'm discouraged because my right shoulder started hurting now. So I've been doing both shoulder exercises. It's 2 days on and a day off, and 2 days on and a day off.
Well, if anybody could do
And
that, it'd be you.
well, I mean, it's kind of discouraging. And then it's trying to belay is
Mhm.
really hurts.
Oh, really? Oh, and
So
that's the
yeah.
fun thing. Ah,
Well, it's the partnership,
yeah.
that you belay each other. And I cannot do that right now. So, so I've been toying with the idea of giving up climbing.
Just toy with it. You don't have to do it today, right?
Right,
Till you're done, you're not done.
right,
What is it? We live until we don't.
right.
Right.
And
Well,
I wrote, well, in the Christmas letter 2 years ago, I wrote that everyone has always, they just I've seen my film, and then
Mhm.
they just say how inspiring I am, and I've been the pioneer for women's climbing and all that stuff. So I finally decided to own it. And so I decided that the universe gave me a purpose for my life, and it's to be an inspiration.
You
So I
definitely are that.
just, I've decided that even as horrible and toxic as the political situation is, I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah.
I'm just going to try and be like Bo Resendez,
Mhm.
because she just emanates love,
Yeah.
you know? And so I hope to radiate love, kindness, all those generosity, compassion, all those good things.
And that's what we're trying to do here. I'm just not there yet.
Right.
I'm still
Yeah.
in the anger phase.
Yeah.
So, and I'm hoping with age I'll come to that.
Yeah.
I still feel
Well,
like I
and
have
then,
control and I don't. So there's where the anger comes from.
right. Well, I often use the serenity prayer, you know, yeah. And then I've been going to the Tesla takedown
Oh,
process
yeah. Yeah.
test in Superior.
Yep. Oh, I've
And
probably honked at you several times. I
all
probably should be
right.
standing there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I did the hands off
Oh,
um,
yeah.
protest, and it was worldwide, and it was like it's amazing that, that so many people feel so frustrated and hate Trump and Musk.
How did we get
And,
here? That's
yeah,
what makes me angry. How the
yeah.
hell did we get here if that's how you felt? I don't know.
Um, and well, I just am still reeling from Kamala you losing the
I know. It
election.
makes no sense here. People, I just don't get me started.
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
you and I have
So,
the exact same feeling. It just makes
right,
me nuts.
yeah. But it was so nice to be in solidarity with 4,000 other people at this, protest in Boulder, and they had RSVP'd 2,000, and there were 4,000 that showed up.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry. I would love to talk, but I got to get this 11th
all
hour
right.
in order.
All right.
Yeah, I love you. It's good to see you.
Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye bye.